Great. So I'd like to call to order the Glens Falls Common Council meeting of Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll ask, Councilman Landry to lead us off in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see. So let's open up the meeting to public comments. If anybody would like to speak to the council, please stand and give us your name and address.
My name is Beth Young.
Come on up, Beth. Come right up to the microphone.
There's a catch.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Beth Young, live at 4 Carlton Court in Glens Falls. And the main reason I'm here tonight is I'm concerned about the new tax assessments coming to our properties.
Sure.
I want to know what the websites are. I've heard a lot of talk, a lot of different things, and I'm shocked that more people aren't concerned about it, but I feel like our taxes are already extremely high in Glens Falls. So that's my reason for being here tonight.
Great. Well, welcome. So we do have, in just a few moments, somebody from the company that we've hired to do the assessments.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not the only one. Matter of fact, I think thousands of people are worried about their assessments and their taxes going up. But just because an assessment goes up doesn't mean taxes going up at all. Matter of fact, taxes might go down. And so you can learn about that and then have plenty of chance. And it's something that's happening over time. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to, if your taxes did go up, for you to understand and to appeal it. So no worries, or well, hopefully there's less worry. Information is the key, right?
Right,
So,
exactly.
so you'll hear that, and then there's several public meetings in which you'll be able to meet with this company and with our assessor so that you can understand more. Okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council?
Just the specific dates for some of these meetings. It's going to be Wednesday, February 2nd at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Saturday, February 5th at 11 a.m. at City Hall at the Mayor's Conference Room on the second floor.
Are those the only two meetings?
Those are the first two meetings after this meeting today, where we're introducing KLW.
And those are public meetings, but you can also have private meetings. If you can't make it to one of those meetings, there'll be plenty of time for you to meet with our assessor and or the company that we've hired. So it's not like something you miss those meetings and you're out of luck, right? It's not the case.
Those also will be available on YouTube as well as in person.
Thank you, Matt. So let's see. I'm going to change it up from actually, I'd like to bring Robert Kozarek up from KLW Appraisal Group to talk to us first before we do our committee reports. Is that okay with everyone? Can I change that up on you a little? Great. Come on up, Robert.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here again tonight. I was here a number of months ago to speak with many of you. I wanted to come and speak with you directly in regards to the process, where we're at, and what's next to expect, right, how we move forward. So currently, we've completed a field review of all of the properties in the city of Glens Falls. And the purpose of doing that was to review what we call inventory, or the information that's on file for every property in the city. So that is, what the building style, what type of exterior siding, the overall condition, things like that. And improvements on the property, what we call improvements are like garages, porches, things like that. So we've completed that task at the end of last summer into the fall. And since then we've been reviewing values or reviewing sales information and market data information. So reviewing sales that occurred primarily between January 1 of 2019 and up to our valuation date, which is the date in which we are valuing the property. So we're looking at the market conditions as of July 1 of 2021. So sales that occurred after that are not included in our analysis and valuation. So we're looking, that's our data set, really, from January 1 of 2019 through July 1 of 2021. So we've been working on analyzing that, what are the sales in each neighborhood, sales price per square foot, for building styles, conditions, that sort of thing. For commercial properties, we're looking at sales data as well as market rents, expense ratios, both from what we know in the area as well as surveys from large data corporations that we subscribe to. Those numbers are going to be used to develop values on every property in the city. We're at the process where we're finalizing those values and really looking at them individually to try and make sure that we're coming up with the best value for those properties. Right around March 1st, every property owner in the city is going to receive a notice. It is a notice that's required by New York State Office of Real Property Tax Services that we mail out to every property owner in a reassessment project. So what that notice is an assessment disclosure notice. It will tell you what the current assessment is on the property and what the equalization rate is for that assessment, or the level of assessment, which for last year was 75%, which means that if your house is worth $100,000, your assessment should be around $75,000, right? So it's not full value. We also heard from the state that actually the equalization rate, if we did not do this project, may drop by another 10 basis points. So it may drop from 75% down to 65%. So that's what's been happening in the city as far as sales activity and how the state is evaluating the equalization rate in the city. So that notice will show, again, what the current assessment is, what the equalization rate is, and an estimate of what the current tax liability is on that property, okay? So now it will also show what the proposed assessment is, the equalization rate, which will be 100%, so we're taking everybody to full market value, and again, an estimate of what the tax liability is. Now, both of these are their estimates. The reason we close on the actual, because we know what those numbers are, and it's kind of a guess of looking at if the overall taxable value increases by a certain amount in the city, how does that affect the tax rate? If the taxable value increases, the tax rate comes down, okay? Because the city has that pie that they need in your budget to provide all the services that you provide for the city, and then that gets divided up to all the property owners. So as the taxable value increases, the tax rate comes down. We're going to do an estimate on that to kind of figure out what the tax liability is on the property. Because a lot of people, your assessment changes, and a lot of people think that's great. What they're really worried about is, how does that affect my pocketbook, right? It's not so much, oh, my assessment's going up, that's great. The value of my property is going up. What really is of concern for people is how that affects their tax liability. So the state requires us to show this on this assessment disclosure notice, which every property owner will get. Included in that notice will be a letter with describing and explaining what that notice means and how to interpret what these numbers are. But also, most importantly, it will include a phone number for property owners to call to schedule an appointment to speak with myself or one of our representatives. That's so we can explain to property owners how we develop that assessed value, as well as listen to any of their concerns in regards to the inventory change, or we may drive by a house and they may have just recently purchased it or inherited it, or maybe just recently they put all the windows in, new siding, the roof. House looks great outside, but it hasn't been updated since 1920 when the house was built. We can't tell that from the outside. So sometimes these meetings, we ask people to bring certain types of documentation, photos of the interiors that are dated, if they think the square footage is not accurate on the property, if they have a property survey or a recent appraisal, to bring that stuff to us for us to consider. And then after all of these meetings, we'll review this information. If we feel that a change in assessment is warranted, we'll make that assessment change. And then prior to May 1st, which is the tentative roll date, okay? That's when we are done. We can't make any changes, we can't do anything. The tentative roll is filed with new assessed values, and the property owners still have the opportunity to grieve their assessment through the normal grievance process, which they have. That process is available to them every year. So the formal grievance is filing application, meeting in front of the Board of Assessment Review, which meets the fourth Tuesday of May every year, present their case to the Board of Assessment Review, and then they make a determination on whether an assessment change is warranted. So currently, we just put a notice out regarding the upcoming meetings in which we will meet with property owners and explain this whole process as I'm explaining to you now. And also offer for property owners to ask us any questions about the process, about what we're doing, what we consider, whatever they may be concerned with. As you stated, those meetings are next Wednesday at 1 or 11 and 6, and then the following Saturday at 11. They'll be held here in City Hall for property owners to come to, as well as being on YouTube, on the city's YouTube channel. So anybody that's open, it'll be available to everyone, whether you can come here or not, or whether you just want to sit at home on a Saturday morning and have a cup of coffee instead of getting bundled up and going out. We'll do that for you, and it can be on YouTube for you. So those things are coming up. We can also explain the process too on the website, the new Image Made Online database for for people to go in and review the information that they have on file. So the link to that Image Made Online database is on the assessment page of the city's website. And property owners can go in there, review what we have online for their information. There's a feedback button for them to select, which will take them through a series of questions or categories of what they think is not appropriate, may be appropriate, or what they feel is what there should be changed to. We ask everybody's email address, contact information, should we need to contact them to verify anything that they provide for us. So, that information, and we've received some of that feedback already. We review that information, and just because it's submitted doesn't mean it's a change that we're going to make. We look and see, is that reasonable, right? So if they say, we have a two-story house that's 2,400 square feet, and somebody comes back and says, well, no, it's really only 1,200 square feet because we don't use the upstairs, okay? Which is something that happened to us, okay? So I'm not making all of this up. That's not a change that we're gonna make, okay? Because it really is a two-story house. Just because you don't use it as a two-story house for whatever reason, it still is what it is. The physical characteristics are the physical characteristics. So that's how we look at that. So, any questions for me?
So the first step is next couple months, we're learning about the process. Then when is the date that you send out the letters?
March 1st.
March 1st. So from now until March 1st, we're learning about the process. The most important piece that I learned in your work with us months ago is that just because my assessed property value goes up doesn't mean my taxes are going up.
That's correct.
The fact is that if right now we collect around $10 million from the city's, from our housing, our stock, right? We collect $10 million in taxes, and that no matter what the property values go up, we're not collecting any more than the $10 million in taxes. The amount that we collect next year will be reflective of our budget and nothing more.
Correct.
So, and so some people's properties taxes might go up, and some might go down, and some will stay right in the middle. And so that's the first thing that I did not know until, because I had the same concern everybody else did. Clearly it's going to be more, but the sales tax rate might go down because the boats rise, right? All boats rise when the water rises, right?
Right.
So, and then so the next piece is starting in March, we're sending to every household a sample saying, this is what your house was assessed at before we did this.
Correct.
And that was a percentage, the state tells us that 75% of what the true value of the house was, because it's been 15 years since the city of Glens Falls has done a reassessment. And we're required to do reassessments. We're supposed to do them at least every 10 years, right?
Well, a recommended assessment cycle is really every 6 years.
6 years.
But it's not mandated by New York State, but to have 100% equalization,
Right.
which unfortunately, there's two sides of that coin. People don't like their assessments to change because they think their taxes are gonna change. For the worse for them, it's, your assessment goes up, you're gonna pay more taxes. Unfortunately, what we see a lot of times in communities that haven't done assessments for a long period of time, is that different areas or different types of housing may appreciate at different rates. So what ends up happening is you have houses that, in a certain neighborhood or a type of house that may not be appreciating as much as another neighborhood, okay? And if everybody's assessment stays the same, everybody pays the same, but actually the value of one house goes up to here and the other house is here. This person down here is paying more than what they should be paying, while the person up here is paying less. So doing a reassessment and doing it on a regular basis keeps that playing field level and takes into account changes in market activity by neighborhood or by building style, as well as condition. People maintain their houses to different levels. Some people don't have the means or don't take care of property for a number of years. It falls into disrepair. But the taxes or their assessment doesn't reflect that. So, these are all things that are important
Considered in that.
when you're doing a reassessment. So,
So the letters go out with what it was, what we think it is, and then gives them an example of what possibly the estimate. Can't give a real number of what their taxes would be because that number hasn't been calculated until the end of the year. But it gives you an estimate, and then gives people a chance to call you up and call us up and say, hey, you didn't have this right about my house. So then their real process of back and forth where we learn more about your property.
yes, or call us up and tell us what a great job we did, and we really appreciate all the work
They can do that too?
They
That's
do
great.
that too.
I appreciate it.
We have had people that come to these informal meetings and tell us that we're way off. We are way too low. And it's because they have the house for sale, and if the new assessment comes out, indicates the value.
Right.
They don't want it to be less than what they want to sell their house for. So, those things also matter.
So has it been 6 years for the assessment?
No, it's been
15 years.
That's
So the
not-
recommended is every 6 years. It's been 15 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And so, so then, even then, after that, even after you get that information, they learn and you learn, there is a period, and starts in what month?
May.
Where they can actually meet with the Board of Assessment Review and say, make a case. I swear to God it's not, and we'll be able to tell them, these are the reasons that this is what we know, that affects the value of the house.
Right.
And so then they go back and forth, and there's a separate group of people that are made up of City of Glens Falls residents, unpaid, that are on this Board of Assessment Review. Will listen to anybody's concerns fairly and listen to them clearly, and long before the determination is made.
Right. So, and then there's another step beyond that as well, in small claims assessment review, known as SCAR hearings, okay? But so that's actually a division of Supreme Court. So the first step is to come talk to us. It's informal. We sit down. It's an exchange. It's not, we're not going to be like, oh, you're crazy. You're coming in. It's okay. Tell us, what are your concerns? If you want to know how we develop the assessment, we'll show them the comparable sales that we use to come up with that assessed value. We'll explain the process to them. We'll take anything that they're concerned with. Now, those people won't be making any decisions. Okay, it's just an exchange of information, and then we'll review that and see how that should apply to the assessed value of the property. Once that's done and the tenor is filed, then they can file a formal grievance. If they don't get or if there's no change in the formal grievance, then they can move on to a SCAR hearing, a small claims assessment. So there's plenty of opportunity, but the first one starts with really meeting with us and talking with us on
Learn.
how we developed it, because a lot of times people, you know, they're new to this process, or they're unsure how it goes and just want to learn what the process is. And they see sales that are occurring in their neighborhood, they're like, oh yeah, my house is just like that. That sold for how much, right? My house is worth at least that much. And that's, and you know, a lot of times there's the realization of what is actually going on in the marketplace.
Great.
Robert, I have a couple of questions. Could you give me an example, you know, like you said, you know, most people are concerned about the pocketbook. Could you give me an example of where a property would pay more in property tax, and an example where they might pay less?
Okay, the easiest way to look at it is that when we do our reassessment, the taxable value of the city is going to change. What I mean by taxable value is you have your assessed value minus any exemptions, right? So if you have an exemption on the property, so you're like a school, like a star, right? And it changes your assessed value. So once we get to the taxable value of the city is going to increase. If the taxable value of the entire city increases by, say, 50%, okay, the tax rate is going to decrease by 50%, okay?
Right. Okay.
If your assessment goes up 45%, you are actually going to pay less than what you did the previous year. If your assessment goes up 55% or above the average of what the total taxable value went up, then you're going to end up paying a little bit more than what you did the previous year. Okay, what we end up seeing oftentimes in doing reassessment projects is the vast majority of property owners stay within that plus or minus 10% range. So that, you know, the taxes might go up 10%, might go down 10%, and the vast majority of property owners are in that range.
But because we haven't done it in 15 years, do you think that range will be greater, or do you think it won't?
I don't think the range will be greater. I think the change is going to be more than what it might have been if you've been maintaining and your equalization was closer to 100%. Okay, the further away and the longer it gets from the last time you did a reassessment, the more skewed that equalization rate may be. So that equalization rate is calculated really by the state doing what they call a review of residential sales. Okay, really doesn't take into any consideration any vacant land sales if you have them, or commercial sales if you have them. It really looks at the relationship between arm's length transactions and their assessed values. So, and then that relationship, or that ratio, is then applied to the entire city. So that may apply to every property in the city, and it may not. Okay, because it is just taking a statistical average of only the sales that occurred.
How do you come up with values for rental properties? Like, we have a fair amount of rental properties in the city of Glens Falls. How does that process work?
Maybe like two to three,
or larger?
Four and larger is considered commercial.
Okay.
Okay. So again, we look at for commercial properties, we'll look at the sales price per unit per square foot of rental properties, as well as like just regular commercial property, retail or restaurant, or you know, any type of store. But we also look at the income, and what's the income taken into consideration? It's credit loss, expenses, cap rates, and to come up with a value based on the income approach. For two or three families, that's considered residential, and that is primarily, almost entirely based on sales.
Gotcha.
So what are sales of other two-family houses or other three-family houses?
So, you know, let's be honest, we're in a pretty robust market. I think this is one of the concerns I expressed to you the last time you were here. It's like, how do you look at that? You know, does that really skew our numbers, or does that really not matter in doing a reval?
Well, we are looking at multiple years. We are looking at multiple years of sales, so it's not just the most recent sales that might be the most robust. Okay. So we are looking at sales that occurred up to, January 1st of 2019. Is it going to skew it? I don't know how you want to look at that. I mean, what we want the assessment to be is, I hope a property owner will look at it, and we want to be reasonably close to what they think that the market value is. And a lot of people look at sales in their neighborhood to have an idea of what the value of the property is. There's also, over the last year and a half, there's been a lot of appraisals that have been done, because interest rates have been so low that a lot of people are refinancing. They get an appraisal done, they get a copy of it, they see what the value of the property is.
And you glean that information?
We don't have access to that.
Okay, so.
We don't have access to any of
But the
that
property
appraisal
owner
for me.
provided
But,
to you.
I'm sorry, the property owner can, yeah, they can provide it to
They
us.
have a recent appraisal, and when you say recent, is that within the last year?
Good question.
Yeah, we would prefer it to be within the last year.
So they could provide that to you if they thought your value was too high?
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct.
Do you do any market adjustment due to the COVID spike in property values, or not really?
Well, we look at sales and what has occurred. And again, like our data valuation is July 1 of 2021. So we're looking at sales that occurred during this period. Again, we're also looking at sales that occurred prior to that too. So,
Are
you
you
know,
averaging?
they all go into one.
Thank you.
I appreciate the council and mayor indulging me. I've got just a couple more, so, and Robert, you as well, so thank you. So, I used to be the councilman of the 5th Ward, and we have had a lot of sales of foreclosed properties, things like that, and a lot of renovations, and then the houses are going for over $200,000. And then we've got older homes that are in similar styles that probably haven't been, updated maybe here or there. How do you compare those is that up to the homeowner to say, like, are you saying, oh, well, that's a raised ranch that sold for $200,000, and if John down the street lives in a raised ranch, or, 2 streets over, and hasn't done anything, and, someone's gonna put it on the market for less than $200,000. How do you?
Sure. So, especially with any type of flip sale, we do have access to all the sales that occurred, not just arm's length transactions. So we see that, XYZ Bank sold it to Mr. Smith for, $100,000, and now it goes back on the MLS and it sells for $230,000. Well, we review that MLS data, so we have access to that. So we see, and realtors are really, really good at marketing property. Okay, if the property is in good condition, there's going to be pictures of everything,
Sure.
right? So we see that, and we also see it conversely. If a property, you see it in a realtor's write-off, handing it special, and there's only a picture of the front of the house, it's also kind of probably reflective of the overall condition of the house at the sale. So we take all of these things into consideration when we look at it. So we do look at, yes, that property sold, for a lot of money, but with a flip, we know it was remodeled and updated. That's represented in our condition and in our valuation models.
And just one more question. Obviously, since we haven't done this it's a large chunk of money for a municipality to undertake a reval. If we, thinking towards the future, once we get this done, is it cheaper to do a reval every 6 years? Do you have to do as much work does the appraisal company have to do as much work as they will do now?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Okay. So when you do a whole, New York State has, New York State Assessors Association has adopted, and they have on a white paper recommendation of a reassessment schedule. They've adopted that from what's called the IAAO, the International Assessing Officers Association. I said that, I mixed up the words, but it's a national group that suggests and advises assessors and on how a professional organization to help assessors. So the state recommends it's a 6-year plan of, the first year you do a reassessment of the entire municipality. over the next, 4 or 5 years, you do certain things to maintain that assessment, so you're maintaining the 100% equalization rate, and then do a complete update at the end of the process. So, let's just say, for instance, if we were to do that, because we already have familiarity with the city, we've already built a lot of valuation models, we'd have less work going forward.
Sure.
So it can be cost effective, as well as if you enter into this, the state also offers a reimbursement. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there, it's not a lot of money that they get back to you, but they do. They have a pool of money that's distributed among all towns that are doing reassessments or maintain or in a program, gets split up between all the municipalities. So, there's some funds available, but it's not earth shattering. But it's something.
It's something.
But if you're not in that program, you don't get it.
Sure.
And Suzanne had explained to me that she's gonna try, when we finish this eval, that there's things we can do to update our information on a regular basis that will slow the equalization rate. Am I saying that the right way? It'll slow it down. There's work that you can do to stop it from getting out of whack. Is that? Am I
The other
saying
thing
that
that too, so like, it was mentioned a COVID spike, right? Or we have this increase this rapid increase in market value, right? Probably primarily fueled by low interest rates is really the driving factor. The lower the interest rate, the more people that are available to enter into the purchasing pool. You have more people. You also have a lot more people that have refinanced, maybe updated their house that don't think they're going to sell, so you have less inventory coming on, more people that want to get in, and then you get cheaper prices. So if you enter into a regular schedule, okay, of reviewing your assessments, if the market changes, next year captures that change. So while the state, like I mentioned, the state indicated that there may be an increase or a drop of the equalization rate by 10 points if you did not do this reassessment this year. They also, go back 3 years ago, they increased the equalization rate because they saw that the market value retracted a little bit, or the market retracted. So if the market retracts going in the future, if you're in a regular program, you can capture that as well. And then, people's assessments go down. People, I talk to property owners and I tell them that, like, my assessment's never going down. Because the city, the town or the city, they're always going to want to get their money. If you reduce their assessment, they're not going to get, you're not going to get your money, right? But the same thing happens, conversely from when the assessed value of the municipality increases, the rate goes down. If the taxable value of the municipality goes down, the rate goes up. It's just.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of just getting people in the mindset, if my property value goes up, my taxes are gonna go up. That's not the case, and it's very difficult to try to get that across, because this isn't an easy thing to wrap your head around, because we don't do it all the time. I mean, we just don't, so that's the biggest thing.
Right. And, the biggest thing that keeps people's taxes where it is you have a 2% tax increase limit, right? Unless you vote unanimously to go beyond it, you have a 2% cap. So the actual tax levy can't go up so much that it's really going to filter down and really greatly increase people's taxes. A skewed assessed value, bringing it up to where it should be, yes, if somebody's really, really low, and the city goes up 50%, and they go up 150%, yes, they're going to pay more. But the real question is not, when people come to talk to us in these informal meetings, invariably it happens in every project I do, this assessment can't be right because I cannot afford these taxes. Okay? That is not, unfortunately, that is not something that we can consider. We have to look at, is the value of that property accurate?
And again, the thing that made it for me, and thank you for your time, but the thing that made it for me is that we're not collecting more taxes. Whether the property values go up 25%, it doesn't mean we're collecting, the city will collect 25% more money next year. It will not happen. That's not going up. We're not collecting more money. We have a certain amount that we collect every year. That is not tied to this. So the tax rate's gotta go down so that everybody can, and so individuals, which might, somebody was very lowly assessed 15 years ago, and they haven't been paying their fair share, and they improved their house, they may pay a little more. That may be the case. And some might, if their house has stayed the exact same and it was pretty well done 15 years ago, that tax levy goes down, or that tax rate goes down, they're gonna pay less. And it really is just about an equalization, but the same amount is collected.
Right, correct.
And it helped me, anyway, I hope it helps you. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for all the work you're about to do in educating people for us.
And if any of you have any questions and want to reach out to us, feel free, give us a call. Susan has our number. You give me a call, I'll definitely answer any questions that you may have. And also, we have meetings next week too, so if you want to show up to those, it's open to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next thing we would normally do is committee reports, but Councilman Clark and I have just met and finalized the descriptions and the actual general descriptions and goals of those committees. So I don't believe, I'll open it up to if anybody does have a committee report instead of going around each one of you. I know Councilwoman Palmer, did you have a meeting in the last couple of weeks that you'd like to report on?
We reported on our meeting at the last one, but you will see that we have a resolution from that meeting on this agenda, which is to set a public hearing.
Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah. Anybody else? I didn't want to give you a chance. Yes, Ben.
This is kind of pursuant to sustainability. We have a monthly climate smart communities task force, and like Diana was saying about the light law, there's also something in here about climate action plan and inventories that'll be for climate smart communities task force. And just saying, we met on January 12th, we discussed that. We also discussed vertical farming update, and there was something, Channel 10 I think had something, and we quoted Jeff's flag.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. And the next meeting is on February 2nd at 7 o'clock. It'll be virtual. I'll get the information to the website.
It's a great logo too, by the way. Love the vertical farming logo.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll move on to, let's see. I need to add some resolutions. It's not until the end, so you have 8 resolutions in front of you in your packet. Resolution 9, I would like to add a 9th resolution that is to approve our warrant. It was in your packet for you to review. It's just not here on this. And then a 10th resolution, the information was in your packet as well, and it's a resolution to authorize $4,000 as a supplemental award under the city's Small Business Recovery Fund, SBRF, Small Business Recovery Fund. It's CARES Act funding through HUD, and we had a special request from a local business owner that was especially hit hard from COVID, and it's to help them pay some rent to keep their doors open. So I wanted that to be Resolution 10, if you're all okay with that. So I think we start off with our voice vote. Resolution 1 is a resolution approving the minutes of the January 11th, 2021 meeting of the Glens Falls Common Council. Resolution 2 is a resolution to schedule a public hearing on Tuesday, February 8th at 7:25 to accept and approve the content of the local lighting law 1-2022 as attached. And Resolution 3 is a proposed resolution for an encroachment permit for utility and construction specialists for the National Grid as attached.
So moved.
Second.
Think all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes, thank you very much. And so the next is a roll call vote. Resolution 4 is a resolution to amend the 2021 ending balances of the police departments and special accounts as follows. $1,571.80 from 2021A 009999-4097 local law enforcement block grant to the 2022 line the exact same in 2022. Resolution 3, the next one is $38,760.32 from line 2021A 00999-2626 federal forfeiture and crime proceeds to the exact same budget line in the 2022 budget for federal forfeiture and crime proceeds. The next is $40,667, so $40,667.41 from the 2021 budget of A0099993098 state forfeiture and crime proceeds to the 2022 budget of the same line. And then $3,150.75 from 2021 A0099992702 PAL grants and gifts to the 2022 budget of the same line item. Resolution 5, accepting proposal from Antar's Group Incorporated for Climate Smart Community Certification with a not to exceed cost to the City of Glens Falls for $32,604. Resolution 6 is to appoint Denise Conklin to the CDC, IDA, and LDC boards pending public authority board approval at their next meeting scheduled for 8 a.m. on February 10th, 2022. Number 7 is a resolution to authorize the approval of the City of Glens Falls Community Development annual payments in the amount of $21,307.90 as a tax. Resolution 8 is by the Glens Falls Common Council to approve the disposal by public auction to the highest bidder of one 2011 transit bus by GGFT as sent in the addendum packet. Resolution 9 is to approve the warrant, and Resolution 10 is a resolution to authorize $4,000 as a supplemental award under the city's Small Business Recovery Fund, SBRF, which is CARES Act funding. Roll call vote, please.
So moved.
Oh, no, roll call vote, please.
Councilman at-large Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Donahue,
Yes.
Councilman Landry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer,
Yes.
Councilman Lapham,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bennett.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, could I just ask a question on the resolution for the balances that we're carrying forward in the police department?
Yes.
Is the forfeiture money, is that what we got during the whole year, or does that just accumulate and carry forward?
I think that's what's accumulated left in that account from last year.
Okay.
Yes. It's not a total of what was there, but a total of what was left in there.
Okay.
We'd like to move forward into the 2022 budget. So thank you for those, that motion passing. Old business, Mr. Clark.
I just wanted to thank the mayor and our, for arranging, meetings, this, last week with, various department heads, with the new council. It was very informative, and, I know I appreciated it. There was a lot of new people, and, it was a good opportunity for them to give a brief overview and for the council to interact a little bit with them. So I want to thank the mayor for making those arrangements for us. Thank you.
Old business, Mr. Donahue. Mr. Hackett.
No old business.
Mrs. Palmer.
I just want to thank DPW for their work at the pond. Last meeting, we had said that we would open it as soon as it was safe, and it's been since opened, and they flooded down there playing hockey and skating, and it's just very nice for the community, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Lappin, please.
I just wanted to thank the counselor at large. I've been working with some Queensbury residents who have concern about lighting on Veterans Road, and we have the power lines over on our side, on the Glens side, Ward 4 side, and they have residences over on the eastern side, and that's the Queensbury side. I was emailing with Harrison Beer as well as Councilor at Large, and Queensbury's looking into it, and they're going to have a public meeting. Councilor Clark and I both said if they need anything else from the city, please reach out to us, but right now it sounds like Queensbury's going to take care of the situation.
Thank you. Anything more? Councilman Good.
I'd just like to thank the mayor for the Martin Luther King Jr. program. Was outstanding. And I'd just like to really personally thank you, Mayor, for the kind words that you said in the beginning. It really meant a lot. And if you haven't seen the program, you have to watch it. The children are outstanding. It's really wonderful. But I really thank you for your support.
Thank you. And that gentleman who led that
Was he
MC
awesome
from Lake
or
George,
what?
huh?
Wow.
Boy, do we want to
Young
hire
man.
him for something before he goes, he graduates and moves out of the
Yes.
area. What a great young man he is. So new business, Councilman Clark.
Yeah, so, the last council, we would gather for a fellowship, over breakfast, and so I want to start that tradition with this council. And so, I think it looks like the 21st, President's Day is the day that people are free. So we're gonna do that. I'll give you, I'm not sure what time, I know Mary, is not an early
At
riser.
8:15 almost.
I could hear I could hear the groan all the way to my house. It's like, so we'll adjust that time, but I think we'll do the Birch and Bark Eatery at over next to the Cronin. Yeah, so.
It's a great place, you realize it's vegan, right?
Yeah,
My wife was vegan, I just wanted to give you all that warning, you're not gonna get eggs and bacon.
yeah, the donuts are absolutely delicious, and you don't feel as guilty eating a couple of them, so. But, we can adjust the time, but I'll let everybody know, and I'll let Megan know, because she'll have to publish a public notice. All right, thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Donohue.
Nothing right now.
Councilman Landry.
A couple things, Mayor. Reminding our residents again to keep your sidewalks clear of snow. Remember, we're very fortunate to have neighborhood schools, and the last thing we want to have is our kids walking in the roads. We've mentioned it before, there's free sand from DPW to assist you. And if you've got a fire hydrant out in front of your house, we haven't had much snow, but the plows have plowed and done a good job plowing, and it's starting to get up a little high. Take the time to clear out your fire hydrant. God forbid you have a fire in your neighborhood, you'd be glad you did. Warren County is providing a reduced price event ticket for the ice castles in Lake George. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, just drive up and take a look. It's quite an attraction. Regular tickets are $25, but there's a special county resident day on February 2nd from 4 to 9 p.m. It only costs county residents $5 to get in, so it's a huge savings. Plus, the Greater Glens Falls Transit System will be providing a bus. And for $1, you can get on the bus right across the street here at the Ridge Street Terminal and take it up to the Ice Castle and have yourself a wonderful time and get back on and come back. So this is a good event for the county. I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Supervisor Driscoll's here today, they've sold over 50,000 tickets. And so I'm sure that the city's going to benefit with lodging and restaurant customers as well. So it's a great event for the county. got hockey this weekend, here at home. Please support the hockey team, and while you're at it, get out and support the downtown businesses. And lastly, if you're looking for someplace to walk, I'm a walker. Hasn't been very nice out to walk. The Civic Center's got a walking program where for $10 for the whole year, you can go down there and walk to your heart's desire. So please take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tom.
I have no new business.
New business. Thank you. Councilwoman, Gooden, sorry.
I had heard on the news, about the new mask that's gonna be available in our area. I think it's going to be, one of the places I believe is gonna be the mall. I'm sure one of the places is the mall, cause my brother told me. So I do know that, but they're free, and they're giving them out, so the public can go get free masks, and they're the kind that you're supposed to have now.
Absolutely. And we have some here at City Hall.
Okay.
My new business would be, just to give, Mayor's Assistant, Chip McTiernan and Larry Dudley, who gave out, COVID tests, the last 2 days, here at City Hall, and we're able to distribute all of them, so we appreciate it, and we do have masks. We got rid of most of our masks, but we have more here, so please come down and grab some, from us, and I believe we'll be getting more from the county, and we'll continue to distribute them here. I was a little worried that, they gave us like an hour time, yesterday and the day before, that would kind of, maybe people wouldn't come, but they did. It was great to get rid of them. I'm sorry I don't have the number in front of me that we got rid of, but it was quite a few. So there were several cases, so that's great news for us. I want to thank you guys. You thanked me, but I appreciate you giving up your evenings last week. It was, I know that we were asking our department heads, and I really do appreciate them coming and talking to us, but you guys were here for the entire time. So thank you. I hope that you found it informative, and I believe you did, and that we had some really good meetings. I'm constantly learning a lot. 3 weeks in here, I think I understand something, and then I hear it again for the third time, and I'm learning more deeply every time. Same with the assessment, and so I'm hoping that continues for me, that I continue my learning journey with all of you. What I'm hoping to do also is to reach out to you next week and try to meet with each of those committees that we have that Councilman Clark laid out for you, and then we'll go over what I hope is take your input, but also go over what I'm hoping our goals and what the topics would be. So that's all coming. I promise. I've asked you to wait long enough, and I appreciate your patience. But I wanted to do it so that it made sense, that there was connections between every mayor's committee and City Hall, which wasn't there in some of the committees that we've had. And I don't think it was done on purpose, but I can tell you with our sustainability committee, it was a difficult time, because after we had come up with some conclusions, then we were approaching the mayor and the department head saying, hey, we think this is a great idea, and finding out sometimes that the department head had already been working on the same problem, and we were, so I'm hoping to solve that by us working all together. Same with the commissions. I have some openings on our commissions and our boards. I have people to fill, but I believe that you'll see throughout this year more people coming up, so feel free to let me know if you have people from your communities that you'd like us to consider. I'm now still learning the bylaws of each one, what's the max we can have on them. And remember that coming up is going to be a committee for us to look at the boundaries of our wards. And so I'm going to ask you all to submit 1 or 2 names of people that you'd like. We're asking that whoever you submit to, it's not a political conversation. It's about neighborhoods and where ward boundaries are. We'll have census information in front of us, and we will try our best to keep politics out of this as we move forward. So I wanted you all to know that was coming. let's see, if you're enjoying your new chairs and you're finding yourself in more comfort, we can thank the New York State court system for updating the chairs. I had a meeting with them facilitated by Councilman Clark, and so it's been great. We are also looking at some upgrades to this facilities, as chambers, and doing some studies with them. They have some money that they may be able to use and that we can use so that we all benefit together working with the court system. Because they do rent this room and the surrounding offices, in case you didn't know. The court system really rents this and uses it Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 5 every day. And so as a result, we can work with them to get some funding to get some needed improvements. Last, I probably should have mentioned an old business. Doesn't it look nice, that roof here when you approach? It looks like it's coming together really well, and we're hoping to finish that up soon.
And our floors.
Yes. I want to make sure that I have good communication with you, and I asked Chip to reach out to each of you to make sure that we have the way you wish to be communicated with. If it's email, it's email. If your council packets that are an evolving thing for us as we learn our way through it, right? So, do you want it in paper in your mailbox? Do you want emails? You make sure you tell us and keep working with Chip and me and myself so that we can make sure you're getting all the information you want. I am working on, and I know I mentioned this, but the last thing I'll say is the summaries that I'll be getting from each department head. You will start to get information on what's going on in each department, what's happened in the last 30 days, and what's coming up for us to consider. So those are the things that I'm trying to address as we move forward. Anybody else, anybody else from the council have anything they'd like to add? So how about we open up to public comment again?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Very glad to be here tonight. Just a couple of quick points. 4 of the 5 current members of the Warren County Board of Supervisors representing the city of Glens Falls have sat in those chairs at one time or another. And the 5th member has been a tireless advocate for the city of Glens Falls throughout her career up at the county. If you don't already have a professional and personal relationship with your counterpart up at the county, my recommendation is to put that at the top of your list of things to do. Over in the 5th Ward, we do have that history, and it's really worked out. We have the same or similar goals and objectives. We're fighting for our residents, people who work in the area, and people who visit us. So again, I would encourage you also to foster those relationships, because in the long run, we'll all do a better job in creating better quality of life for our residents. The second point is, I think last week there was an article in the paper about an ad hoc group of individuals who are interested in bringing a Afghan family to the area. Their organization is called the Adirondack Welcome Circle. Correct. Thank you. They have a diverse number of needs. The individuals who have already expressed their interest in getting involved come from all walks of life and backgrounds. I've done some research, and throughout the United States, whenever a community has welcomed a family from a faraway place, 90% of the time it works out. It works out for the community, works out for the family. They start businesses, they're employees at our our current businesses, they become part of the fabric of the community, and everyone bakes out. So I would encourage you to visit that website and see how you or your friends and family members may also become more involved in that process. And my last comment is I want to know if there's still an opportunity to purchase the old Fifth Ward chair on the common council. I've got a place in my home that Thank you, guys.
That's to speak to the judge.
Be well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Great, if not, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, thank you.